What are we discussing on today's podcast, you ask? Well, it's another D-backs crossover. We're Locked On Padres discussing first half NL West thoughts. Is the home run derby really exciting? And then drafting City Connect jerseys, the best and the worst, all on today's Locked On Diamondbacks crossover.
You are Locked On Padres, your daily San Diego Padres podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day listening to always charismatic host of this podcast, Millard Thomas. I'm a multimedia journalist and I'm a graphic designer, so please go check out my website, millardthomas24.myportfolio.com. On there you can see my latest work, from my packages to my articles to my photos and my graphic design. For more content by me, just follow me on Twitter at CreatorThomas24 for my personal account, or just look up Locked On Diamondbacks about Twitter, Instagram for the podcast handle. And of course, thank you for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen every day. I would not be able to do this podcast without you, my loyal listeners, sharing, subscribing, reviewing, doing all that so I could do this podcast for you. Thank you. It's free and available on all platforms, so please continue to tell your friends. One of those platforms is YouTube, so please hit subscribe on the Locked On Diamondbacks YouTube channel. But without further ado, as we do for every Tuesday podcast, but really it's the Wednesday podcast. We record on Tuesdays, but we drop it on Wednesdays. But without further ado, let's bring on the man of the hour, as we bring on every week, Javier Reyes of Locked On Padres. There he is. Sir, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm doing pretty good. You know why I'm doing the best?
Why?
Because there's no Padres baseball. Ooh. I get to take like a break for my sanity. I just get to relax. It's been awesome. And of course, it's been awesome doing these weekly pods with you, man. I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing pretty good. You know, you got Mission Impossible coming out. Gonna be seeing that soon. Oh yeah, I can't wait. We got that. You got the Barbenheimer coming out. You know, I'm attempting both of them. Let me tell you. I got some friends that I think we're gonna try it. That should be a lot of fun. But in general, just pretty good vibes, I think, overall going right now.
Yeah. Let's get a little bit into, a quick discussion of the first half in the NL West, because, for your just mental sake, I know you seems like you're kind of happy to be at the All-Star break, but is there any hope left in you, Javi? There's still 70 games left in the second half. The Padres are still within 6.5 of a wild card. It's not entirely over. We've seen teams like the Phillies last year who were really struggling in the first half and came alive, and you just need 87 to 89 wins. And that's also enough to even make it to the World Series, what we've seen in the last couple of years. So are you giving up yet on this season?
I mean, it's tricky, right? Because if there's a chance, I think AJ Preller has shown that he is willing to be the gambling maestro, right? He is ready to take chances. So if they're sitting at a 20% chance to make the playoffs, I feel like they might go for it. And I just think we see historically kind of every year, there's going to be some team that slow starts every year that turns it on in the second half. Sometimes that results in a playoff spot, like Philly last year, as you mentioned. Sometimes it doesn't, say Seattle from a couple years ago. Remember the "We Believe" signs, from Ted Lasso for the Mariners. They didn't end up making the playoffs, but they made a late push. So there's going to be some team. And out of all the ones that have been disappointing, from the Padres to the Mets to the Cardinals, the Mariners, the Guardians, and the there's probably one more that I'm forgetting, that one of those teams I would wager is going to be good in the second half. I'm personally betting Seattle. I like that team, but I'm hoping it's the Padres. But hey, regardless of what happens, though, it's actually going to be a really exciting deadline. I'm not just saying that as the Padres podcaster because I want people to listen to my show. It's more it's a huge decision whether or not to go for it. Because it's very rare that teams with as much talent as the Padres have are in this situation where it's do you sell because you just gave up your future for someone like Soto? Can you buy, but you don't have much of a farm? And then it's but you don't want to, give up totally because you still do have the time. So there's a lot of different angles and stuff that I think is going to make, at least until the trade deadline, pretty exciting stuff for Padres baseball. And at the very minimum, you still got Tatis. You still got some fun players to watch, right? So at the minimum, it's going to be fun to watch those guys play.
Yeah, because even if this season doesn't go your way, you're still going to have a core locked in. So it's not like all hope is lost if the Padres they'll make it to the playoffs this year. It will feel bad with the payroll and the stars that you've committed to this season, but you're at least going to know you're going to have a core going forward. They can always retool around and make this team better. And with the money that they've already committed this season, I would not be surprised at all if the Padres are like, you know what, we're within spitting distance of the wild card. Let's go get aggressive at the deadline. I'm actually hoping Mike Hazen has taken notes from AJ Preller the last couple of years, and I hope he gets aggressive at this deadline. Maybe you don't move like, one of your top prospects like a Jordan Lawler or Drew Jones, but anyone outside like your top two, maybe go and get a few of them and throw them in a package for Bieber, another one of those elite starters, or Corbin Burns on the market if you are serious about making a deep postseason run this year. So I am curious to see how this trade deadline is going to break down. But as it currently stands, how are you just feeling about this division overall? Because the D-backs and Dodgers are currently tied. Do you still feel like my team has a shot to win the division? Do you think the Dodgers are going to pull away in the second half of the season?
I mean, one thing I will say is the Dodgers pitching has been really bad. Mm-hmm. They have some issues there. And this isn't just a Kershaw thing. Like it's, Walker Buehler like might be coming back soon, but for the most part, they get a little bit lit up. Their offense has been so great, with Mookie and Freddie and some of those guys, right? Like they still have the good players over there. They turned Jason Hayward into something, right? So just by sheer reputation, and like I said, being able to turn Jason Hayward, that's just one example. They're able to turn guys who haven't been as great before into all-star level players. I mean, JD Martinez wasn't bad in 2022. He was just fine. And the Dodgers seemingly returned him back to being his elite status at DH. So like they can do all of that stuff. I am a little bit worried about the pitching, and the Diamondbacks, I think, are a little bit better built overall as a team right now. Ooh. And also lazy analysis, but at some point, like the Dodgers can't win the division. You know what I'm saying? Like at some point, just based on the law of averages, they can't win the division. And I think that this is a decent enough chance that this is the year that streak finally breaks. And that's no shots to the Dodgers. It's just more of, hey, it's hard to do it for forever. You know what I mean? You can't just win the division every single year. So.
Yeah, and with the deadline, I mean, the Dodgers are always this team you have to watch out for just because they get so shady at the deadline. And we've talked about it so much, but I'm still stunned that they got Trey Turner as a throw-in piece in the Max Scherzer deal.
I'll never forget that as long as I live. I'll never forget it.
Like all-time incompetent if you're the Nationals. Like you send Turner out in a separate deal, and you get another batch of prospects to combine with the Juan Soto deal, and you're set and running if you're the Nats.
It's just like, and you gave them Scherzer, who's still pitching like a superstar ace at this time. I mean, for Padres fans, obviously the insult to injury of the Ken Rosenthal tweet, but also just like, I made this joke at the time, but it's like when you get the extra onion ring when you get an order of fries at a fast food place, like accidentally. Ooh. That's how they treated Trey Turner, the Nationals. And ever since they did that, I've been proclaiming that Mike Rizzo is a sleeper agent for the Dodgers. I've said this for years. I just cannot believe I can't say it anymore because we got Soto from them, but still, we actually paid like a pretty hefty premium for that trade. You know what I'm saying?
It's a real trade that you guys gave up real assets.
It was like a real trade. And I'm not regretting it or anything like that, or have a take on it one way or the other, but it's just like, of course, what blackmail did they have on this man? You know what I mean? It's like, Keibert Ruiz. And then he's like their second best catching prospect. You know what I mean? That's what it turns out. And he's not even doing anything for the Nationals now. So I just like,
I wish more when it comes to baseball trades. I wish more was like the Juan Soto deal, because I'm like, that's what value should be in Major League Baseball. You're giving up a superstar, transcendent player in his prime. You should get back a litany of prospects. It should be like the NBA, where if you trade Kevin Durant or elite player, you're getting back a young player and a whole bunch of picks back. I don't understand why we see all these baseball trades with superstars. And it's like, you know what? I'm going to take back Connor Wong and someone else.
Yeah, I mean, leverage, man. That's what happens sometimes. Now, it's embarrassing when, say, the Red Sox trade away Mookie Betts for Verdugo, who's a pretty good player, but even still, like, that's a little bit unfortunate. But sometimes it might just be like, I remember the Marlins, like some people I know are like, one of the reasons the Stanton trade was so unfortunate is because they locked themselves into that contract, and that made it that there's only like 3 teams that can trade for him. So that must be hard when you're at the bargaining table, right? Similar to like Damian Lillard of the NBA, where it's kind of hard to trade him when he's like, I only want to go to one team. It's like that just completely kills your leverage that you have over the Heat, right? So I think that's what kind of happens in baseball too, unfortunately, due to the cheapness sometimes of franchises, like your Oaklands, where it's like they won't take on $6 million of salary for just the rest of the year. like 3 years ago with Trevor Story when they really needed a shortstop, right? Like that's just the reality. And when you give a guy a big contract, even if they're good, your Clevelands and maybe even your Diamondbacks or your Rays or whatever might not acquire him just because they're like, we can't do that money. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's insane. We're going to be talking also about the home run derby coming up and be drafting the best and worst City Connect jerseys. Hopefully we get some, I think that's going to be a really fun draft as we do every week here on our Locked On Diamondbacks, Locked On Padres crossover. But first, I need to talk to the listeners about this wonderful pair of shorts that I am currently wearing. I am talking about my most comfy. Whoa, that is not it. That is the wrong ad. Bird Dogs. That is right, because Bird Dogs make you look good. A Bird Dog stretch khaki shorts are designed to be fit, slimmer through the thigh, and give you a nice sculpted look. I'm a guy that hasn't worked out in a couple months here. Haven't been to the gym in a while, but man, when I put my Bird Dogs on, you're like, damn, Millie, did you just go run like a 3K like race? Like your calves are looking phenomenal. Yeah, your thighs are looking great in those shorts. And honestly, it's all about the shorts, because the shorts do the exact same thing as the Lululemon, but they fit way better, and guys, they're way more affordable too. Just trust me. The shorts are made of a non-stiff, non-restricting cotton. They don't put any of that in there. They use They invented this cloud knit fabric that looks just like khaki but stretches, so you get a way slimmer fit. So if you want to try on Bird Dogs, like all Locked On hosts, because thankfully Bird Dogs sent every host a pair. Like Hoppy, do you want to talk about your favorite pair of shorts that you be wearing all the time?
I mean, look, when I wore them Bird Dog shorts back at the Yankees game that I went to between the Padres, in which they managed to lose on an Isaiah Kiner-Falefa walk-off, nonetheless, it was hot out. And they were perfect, like really comfortable. They fit every occasion, I think, is why I like them. And, we're in the summer. I'm not a big summer guy. I'm not. I really don't. I'm really not a big. That's a take. Oh, yeah. I'm not a big summer guy, but hey, these things got the job. I was really surprised by how comfortable and breathable, dare I say. I know that's like I know it's not legs aren't breathing, but it felt like they were when I was wearing these things, right? So I really appreciate Bird Dogs. So shouts to the homies over there. They are just fantastic.
They're like a marshmallow. They're light. They're fluffy. Yeah. It's fantastic. Your butt sitting on a pillow. What more could you want? So go to birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB or enter promo code LockedOnMLB for a free Yeti style tumbler with your order. That's birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB or promo code LockedOnMLB for a free Yeti style tumbler. We won't take your Bird Dogs off. We promise you. And don't forget to catch every D-backs and Padres pitch on their hometown broadcast when you download the Sirius XM app and either search up Diamondbacks or Padres. All right, back here on the Locked On Diamondbacks, Locked On Padres crossover. And this doesn't have to be a long discussion, Javi, before we get into our little draft, but are you a person that's a fan of the All-Star festivities? This is going to be a question that's probably brought up every year at this time, but do you actually tune into the home run derby? Do you actually think it's fun? Because I think it's cool. It's exciting. If it's on, I'm watching it, but I'm not recording it. I'm not running to my TV to watch it. But if it's on, I got a beer in hand, sure. But the real question I have for the home run derby is there a way to make this regulated with steroids, or maybe we get aluminum bat in there? I just want to see 600-foot moonshots. I was watching this TikTok video of like Sammy Sosa in 02, and he had like 10 balls over like 515 feet. And it was just insane. It was massive. I want to bring the 550-foot moonshots back to the home run derby. So let's either get aluminum bats, tennis balls, or let's get all these guys roided out, regulated, of course, because I think that would be a lot of fun.
Regulated roids. We have the roids pool and then the regular pool. That's all I have, right? I will say that, and I make this joke a lot too, that how like whatever I'm talking about, baseball fans literally hate any kind of change ever. Like I was there and I was sentient and I was watching as people were complaining about that initial change they made to the home run derby, when they basically made it like it's just a swing fest, and in a good way, where it's like an endurance test. You got to just keep going and whatnot. And then when someone heats up, it's like even more exciting because they just keep hitting him and hitting him. As we saw last night with, Adley Rutschman had a moment when he went, switch sides of the plate, batted righty. And then with Julio Rodriguez, when he went absolutely, sicko mode. So that was really cool. And I really think that the rule changes did it for me, man. This is not like don't worry, I'm not on the MLB. Big MLB isn't paying me to say this, but I really do think that like ever since they made those rule changes, I really like it. When a player is in the zone, it's really great. I'm not saying I watch it with the utmost amount of hype. Like I'm losing my mind. I think that the one exception was probably when Shohei Ohtani was on it. Cause I remember like actively, like everyone, it felt like a moment. I was nervous watching it, and clearly he was too, since he struggled out of the gate. Right. But like, that was like a moment, and it was really great. And I think aside from that though, I really think the rule changes have helped. I love watching it. I love how fast paced it is. The old one, I always felt like, man, this feels like it's going to last like 4 hours. You know what I mean? I have to like wait, and that wasn't the perfect pitch. That wasn't the perfect pitch. I'm not blaming the players. It's just that I kind of like that. And I imagine there'll be some tinkering. I sometimes wonder if reaching the bonus time, the extra 30 seconds, if it's a little too easy, if everyone always seems to get the plus 30, aside from, Mookie Betts apparently yesterday. So maybe that could be fine-tuned, but maybe add some funny effects. I would love that. Nickelodeon style, what the NFL did. You know what I'm saying? Maybe have some slime go, some computer-generated madness, have fireworks pop off the bats. I don't know. I just feel like we could be like very arcadey. Be like that NBA Jam game. Ooh. You know what I mean? Except that it's MLB, the Home Run Derby Jam. I see it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because there's definitely a better pace with the new rules. Because even though you're hitting like 30 home runs in one round, like before, if you go look up like old numbers, guys are winning like 8-7 because, like you said, they're waiting for the perfect pitch, and they actually weren't getting to that rhythm like we see now. But I actually think at the beginning of your little monologue, I think you actually came up with a better idea for the home run derby. Half the players are your normal Major League Baseball players, and then the other half are either like retired, roided up players, or just like your local Joe who's like 30 bodybuilder, but he's roided up. Maybe he's a former like D2 baseball player. We just bring in a bunch of those guys. I think I would enjoy that. Roids versus non-roids. See who's really stronger. And you get like Mike Trout. Man. Yeah. I would love really that. Good. Mike Trout.
I know sorry for interrupting, but I know that the KBO does like a bunt challenge thing, basically like curling rules where you try to get it as close to the circle. And it's like, I like it. It's creative. Also, again, shouts to the KBO, not just for that brilliant idea with the bunt derby thing, but that they have like or at least had, I haven't checked recently, but like their trophy for the championship was just this giant like demon sword looking thing. Like it was just like, it looked like the sword, the King Arthur sword, and they're like lifting it at the end as they won. I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever, man. Why can't MLB?
Is it like one of those like 12-foot swords they just swing around?
Just look up, everyone who's listening to this pod or watching this pod, look up like KBO championship sword trophy, something along that line. And one of the pictures, just a guy holding it up, and I'm like, this is like He-Man, Masters of the Universe. It's the coolest thing I've ever seen. Oh man, I love it so much. I think it was during the pandemic year too. So
that's a way. That should be American tradition. We need to change. You really want like a trophy? Getting like a katana would be way sicker. Some sort of weapon. I guess maybe here it should be like a gun.
Maybe we should alternate it. Every year it's a different looking. Like not just in the look, the Super Bowl trophy. Here's what they did for the Rams. No, I mean like, or the ring in the case of the Super Bowl. But let's ham it up. It's like one year you might get a golden bat that's encrusted with gems, and the next year it'll be like, I don't know, like let's say someone, nunchucks, and then but instead of like instead of 2 sticks, it's like one of them's a baseball or something like. I don't know. I just feel like it'd be really fun. Baseball nunchucks. You know what I mean? Or maybe there's a player who has a nickname, so you make sure that you design it in a certain way. I know that there's a lot of like revenue things, and you want to be able to sell replicas and whatnot. You have to make them for everyone that's part of, say, the D-backs organization if they won, right? Like everyone's getting some sort of ring or trophy. Maybe that's part of it, I guess, but I don't know. Figure it out. Just have one unique trophy. Give everyone else like a little ring thing. I think it would be fantastic. I really like imagine that. Imagine like being so excited. Imagine how that would kill on Twitter. Just being like, oh my God, we have a player named like Gary Sanchez on the Padres, like was nicknamed the Kraken. Like the trophy this year is an octopus. It's just like gold.
That would actually be pretty. That would be pretty nasty. A golden Kraken would be nasty. Look at Javi coming up with some great designs and ideas, which is a perfect segue because coming up, we're going to be drafting the best and worst designs for City Connect jerseys. Some people are going to be really excited with that little draft. Some people are going to be a little upset. So we'll see. But before we get there, I need to talk to our listeners about BetterHelp, because sometimes in life, we're faced with tough choices and the path forward isn't always clear. This is where BetterHelp can help you, because if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedonmlb today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedonmlb. And don't forget to catch every D-backs and Padres pitch on their hometown broadcast when you download the Sirius XM app and either search up Diamondbacks or Padres. All right. Let's get back into the Locked On D-backs Padres crossover. And as we've been doing the last few weeks, it is draft time, Javier Reyes. And today we are drafting the City Connect jerseys. This one's going to be a little bit spicy, but we're not doing this like a normal draft. This is not going to be a normal 1, then 2, then 3. We're just a straight, basically, power ranking of best to worst. No, we got categories for our listeners. So we got to build the best team based on these categories. So some of these, you might pick a jersey that maybe I had in one category, or maybe you pick my favorite jersey from a specific category. So might be sniping each other's picks, because the rule is once the jersey's selected, you no longer could draft that, jersey to your team.
Okay.
Yeah,
that'll be funny.
Yeah, so here
you take something for best and then I meant it for worst or something like that. Yeah, okay,
that'll be good. This is now we can see creatively how each other think. And for the listeners, the categories are for the jerseys. Number 1, I would rock that. That one's a little explanatory. The jersey that maybe not from your team, but someone else's team. You're like, damn, I would rock that thing right there. The next one, the City Connects. It's the jersey that actually is the best representation of the city or team that it was made for. Number 3, boring. This is the unseasoned jersey. This is just salt and pepper, no flavoring on it. No garlic, no chili, just salt and pepper. This is the boring, bland jersey. And the last one is, what city is this? Maybe it's just an ugly jersey. Maybe it's a nice jersey, but you're like, I just didn't know this was from this city. It just doesn't represent it at all. So that one could be a little bit of a wild card. And then at the end, we'll get into some honorable mentions of our faves and least faves. But Javi, do I have a quarter today? I do not. You want to flip a dollar? Who's ever done that before, huh?
We're just doing all the new things today, huh?
Oh, actually, I found a quarter on the floor. Okay. That's probably the one we used last week.
Yeah, probably.
That's a tails, sir.
As usual, I'm going to stick with tails.
All right. For the YouTube audience. Whew, caught that one on camera. Where's my thumb or my fist? It is heads for the listeners. So for the first time in a while, Millard gets to go first. Whew.
First time in a while. This is like the third one we've done.
Wow, man. I mean, there's actually one that I want to draft number 1 overall, but God, it feels good to be a homer sometimes. It really does.
Ooh.
But I'm not going to do it.
Oh, okay.
Do it. I set you up. I had you in the first half. And I was like, I'm going to draft from the category just because I like it so much and I want it on my team. I'm going to start with the category. I would rock that. And in this category, I'm going to select the Chicago White Sox South Side jersey. I love that font, like that 90s style font, how nasty dirty it is with the black and white stripes. I just think the jersey's super clean. I just think that's also the easiest jersey to actually wear out. If I'm going to the club, put that on, some jeans and some clean white Air Force Ones. Who knows? That might be too basic. Maybe some Dunks, something like that. But in terms of all the jerseys that I would just rock, regardless of what team it is, I think the Chicago White Sox Southside City Connect is the most fire in my opinion.
I mean, it's so great. It says Southside on it. It was one that was kind of almost a layup. Like when it was being announced, everyone's like, I mean, they got to go like a hardcore, this type of thing. You got to do something for Southside. It felt like that's what they were going to do, but it's still so cool, even if it was almost expected to be cool, if that makes any sense, right? Like I just think that they killed it. I really do. And I think that's definitely the safest pick. Like you said, like one that I feel like you could wear for any occasion, really,
Yeah.
right? Like you could just be going to a
First
bar, or you could be going to axe throwing the way I did a couple weeks ago. You could be just shopping. I don't know. I just feel like that's just in general, like the black and white kind of look. It's just a universal color. Like you can't go wrong with it, right? When
the
it comes
YouTube
to
audience.
fashion.
Yeah, for the YouTube audience, I got on black and white right now. I could put that jersey on right now and just looks fire with the fit I currently got on. So that's what I'm going with that one.
I have something that absolutely you do not wear anywhere.
Yeah.
The hat and the Hanes white tee. You know what I mean? Like just not a good color combination.
I don't know if there's a jersey that fits that hat, Javi. I'm sorry to break it to you, but I love it. I know.
There's got to be some soccer team out there, right? Like there's got to be somewhere, like some orange, and I'm just spitballing. Maybe Celtics. Is that the only thing that might work for this particular hat? I don't know, but great pick, man. Great pick.
Thank you.
Would you like me to make
Wild,
my next
maybe.
pick?
Yeah, you can make your next.
That will be
Minnesota Wild, maybe the hockey team. That kind of
fits. Okay. Minnesota Wild. I see what you're doing there. I think they got a little red in there. Maybe I don't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway,
who's your number one?
My number one pick. I am going to go with the category of representation one, the City Connect one, which represents the city team the best, because I feel that this is a little bit of a dare I say, a controversial pick.
Okay.
But to be honest, this isn't that controversial pick, but it's more, I just feel like this is a tougher category to get into, because I'm also scared that I might like not know something about like why the jersey is associated with the place. So in an effort to not get, destroyed or get roasted, I am going to go with the Colorado Rockies. That's right. Divisional rival for us for City Connect. Not one I would rock, not my favorite or anything like that. Definitely not the worst, but the mountain look, it fits Colorado, the great Rocky Mountains and all that stuff, right? I really like these things. I think that it's cool that they went for it. You know what I mean? And then we're going to talk, when we get into Bland, I'm going to cook for that one. Let me tell you, I'm not going for it. But I just really do think that it should be applauded that they went for it. Maybe some people don't like it. Some people think it shouldn't have been the green look. It should have been purple. Is there some money incentive that they wanted to make sure it was so different than the regular purple that people would go buy it? Maybe, sure, but that's kind of what this whole thing is about in general. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to fault them for that. I just think it's so unique. I think it's so unique to them, and there's no mistaking like what it's for, right? Like there might be some others on there that you're like, yeah, I see the connection, but that's Rockies. That is Colorado. Yeah. Love the mountains. So shouts to them. Dare I say the only good move they've made in the past like 8 years.
You're probably not wrong. And you're probably not wrong. And just thinking about it too, I think the fact that's like one, if not the only jersey that were the design, there's a storytelling, because like the Southside jersey, like it's that font that really sells you that's the White Sox. But if you took the names off all the jerseys, just seeing that design on the Rockies jersey, you would just immediately know, that's probably the Colorado Rockies there. I don't know if you would get that instant I don't even know the word, like that instant connection with any of the other teams just based off jersey with no name or anything on it, no fonts or anything on it. So
I think you're right.
Rockies jersey might have the strongest connection because of that design. I did have them in my tier 1 for that category, so I'm not mad at all for you for that pick, but it kind of falls to me perfectly because now I know who I'm selecting. And I don't even need to take them yet since you already drafted from that category. We're only drafting one jersey per category, so that means that category is done for you. I don't even got to worry about it anymore. Let me mark it on my sheet here. For my next pick, the category I'm going with. There's two choices for me, both in the negative category. because I love doing this podcast with you, Javier, I'm going to draft from what city is this? And of course, like you, we could always be roasted because of there could be a deeper meaning. I know June Lee did a deep dive on every jersey when he ranked it. But for me, when I saw this jersey come out, there was a lot of colors, a lot of pinks and greens. And I was like, I don't know where this vibe came from. I don't know how that represents this team, but I'm also not a big fan of it. I'm sadly going with the San Diego Padres on what city is this? I'm like, first time I saw this, because I'm a graphic designer, Javi. So me and my other coworkers, us creatives, we were talking about it. And one of them is a Padres fan. We're like, what are the Padres doing? What are they thinking? We did like the City Connect video that they dropped. I think they had like Tony Hawk skating around in it. But I just don't think the jersey colors match with the vibe of the team. In my opinion, I was just like a little put off from it. Maybe if it was like its own thing, it would be okay. But I don't know if I mess with it in terms of the vibe with the San Diego Padres. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you like the connectors. I would actually like to hear your thoughts on what the jerseys are.
I mean, me, of course, not being biased whatsoever. I think that this is a mistake. I really do. And reading from the official, MLB.com, the colorful uniforms feature sleeves of pink and mint with San Diego emblazoned across the chest in those same hues. They feature outlines of yellow and taken as a whole. The uniforms are meant to match the vibrant colors of San Diego's fabled pink and yellow sunsets beyond the Pacific Ocean. And not only that, they're also a nod to the landscapes and artwork of San Diego and the nearby Baja Peninsula. A sizable portion of the team's fan base hails from Tijuana, Mexico, and the other surrounding areas in Baja California. So that's what that's all about.
Oh, I was laughing because I was like, dang, they only have sunsets in San Diego? That's crazy.
It's a good retort. It's a good retort. I can't lie.
That's crazy. They don't get sunsets nowhere else? That's the best way to represent the city? Okay, sure. We could go with that.
I mean, look, I just think that there are other ones that might fit this better, perhaps this category.
There's some other ones I have on my list.
Look, see, this is why it's good doing podcasts with you. You always have a comeback. You know what I mean? He's make no mistake. I've said this every time. Millard's picture on Twitter is a regular happy looking headshot. That man is a savage and he will get you. Like, do not mess with this. The little smile. I promise you, there is a sinister, plan. He's got a plan. You know what I mean? That's how I would describe this man. But overall, at least at the very minimum, it's an entertaining pick.
Yeah, Javi knows me so well. Javi knows me so well. Who's your next pick, Javi? What category do you want to draft next?
So I think that it's really tough to do the jersey looks like it could be for another city, to be honest with you. So I think that that's actually the one I'm going to go with.
Okay.
I'm going to go with it. And it's really hard. I think that there's two that I'm looking at here. It's really hard, but I think that the two that I'm looking at, oh man, let me just pull it up real quick. It's between that one and this one. I'm going to go with, let me just find it real quick again so I can make sure.
I wrote down 4 of these, including the one I just drafted. I think there's 4 where it's like, what is going on here for this?
I can't find it. I just had it too. What was it? Oh man, there we go. I think I'm gonna go with. I don't feel great about it.
Do it.
I'm gonna go with the San Francisco Giants.
It's a good one.
For one that could be another city. I'm not saying it would translate perfectly. Obviously, you change like maybe the lettering and stuff like that. But for me, and this might just be a product of their City Connect being bad, by the way, and that might be influencing this. Rank the worst one, actually, on June Lee's rankings over at ESPN, which I think we're both using as our reference point. It feels like this could have been used for the Orioles in some type of way. That theme, the like light orange, maybe the hats, the kind of, I don't know, just the aesthetic of it, the whites as well too. Maybe it's possible that they didn't want to go in that direction just because, every team's already got a white uniform. It's a little bit hard to pull it off in a way sometimes for it to at least feel unique and new. That's totally possible. While the Giants, they have like the dark colored uniforms and then they've got their orange ones, right? So maybe this white coloring was a little bit different. But again, that's just what initially came to mind. I don't feel great about this pick, but I hate this category. It's really hard. That's not a shot either. It's just that this is a hard one for me. So I'm going to go with the Giants for one that I feel like could have been used for another city, but I do not feel good about it.
I don't mind that one at all. I have them written down for this category. If they didn't have like the little Golden Gate Bridge on the side, that G to me just feels very Cleveland Guardian. I know it's orange, but I don't know. I get Guardian vibes when I see that jersey. So I'm not mad at all.
That's a good take. Yeah.
Since we already knocked out this category, I'll tell you the other 2 honorable mentions, or maybe I'll save it for the end just because you might have these jerseys in another selection.
Okay,
so I don't want to step on your toes there. So Giants, I like that. They're definitely one of the teams I had written down for that category. The next one I'll go with, you know what? I could just wait on my favorite team just because you're drafted from that category. So I'm going next. This one's a lot of fun just because I didn't even know this was their City Connect jersey. It looks like their normal jersey. I don't even know what they changed from it. I could read an article that will probably explain it to me. But if I can't noticeably or visibly see it on my first watch, I'm just going to assume it wasn't that creative of a design. I'm going with the LA Dodgers City Connect jersey. Okay. Can someone tell me what's different from that and their normal jersey? It looks like a blue jersey with white font that says LA Dodgers and that little script. I don't even know what the difference is. It's the most boring jersey just because it looks like their regular jersey.
I mean, it says Los Dodgers, Millard.
Oh,
You see, you see, it says that. Okay,
in Espanol. Okay.
If I was being like a mean man and I was betting and battling against you, I would argue that I don't know if the Dodgers had many other routes that they could go. That's just me. And my creative brain or whatever, as you flexed earlier, a little bit, like my kind of vibe is like Dodgers. Is that like a name that you can do too much with? It's LA. You don't want to necessarily, could you do something Hollywood related? Maybe, but I don't know if Hollywood is like Dodgers necessarily. If that makes any sense. Lakers is Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like that has much more of a Hollywood attachment to it. I don't know if the Dodgers have that. So I almost don't know what else they could have done. It's a fine jersey and the regular jerseys are fine, but I do. The lack of creativity, or I should say the lack of something really unique, I think harms them here. Although I don't think it's the worst City Connect. I think Baltimore's is pretty bad.
It's not the worst. I just find it the most boring because couldn't you make that same argument with any of the other California teams? Like, what's the difference? Because even though I don't like the Padres, at least they went for something different and tried something. Yeah. They didn't just concede and say, you know what, we're just gonna make it Los Padres, and and that's it. So that's why I'm like, I think the Dodgers are just a little bit lazy in that execution of their jersey. But who do you got next, Javier?
Yeah, I mean that was mean when you said San Diego, only place that has sunsets. That was a mean shot.
They're like, dang, the San Diego Padres took our sunset idea. We can't do that no more in LA.
I just want to give a shouts to June Lee for his verdict on the Orioles one. While teams like the Dodgers and Braves stuck to uniforms similar to their already existing set, the Orioles did a first with City Connect by creating a look that is more generic than their everyday uniforms and alternatives.
I don't agree
with the bar. June Lee with the bar.
June Lee, this is why you're no longer there. June Lee, you had the D-backs like 10th or something. Maybe if you had your ranking in order, maybe they would have kept you around a little longer. Oh my
gosh, stop it right now. That's terrible.
We love you.
How dare you?
We love you, June Lee. Except when you do City Connect power rankings. Outside of that, I won't slander you. I'm sorry. I take it back. I love you.
I'm going to go with bland boring for my next pick.
Just copy me. All right.
I'm going with the bland boring. And I'm going with one this is my most unpopular one. I've had this opinion for a while, but I'm going with another LA team, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Or I'm sorry, the Los Angeles Angels.
Really are copying.
Yeah, that would have been funny. No, the Angels.
Okay.
I feel like unlike the Dodgers, I mean, you saw my theatricality and the pizzazz that overcame me when we were talking about the home run derby and rules and stuff. I just feel like the name Angels, you could have done something so cool. Could have been like biker rad. You could have had like the, Sons of Anarchy, like the wings coming out. You know what I mean? Like I think you could have done a little bit more, like maybe on the sleeves. Instead, they settled for a pretty safe uniform. That's fine. And one that I would even wear. Because it is so, I mean, just the nice little font change. It almost looks like the Cheers logo, that type of vibe going for it, the TV show Cheers. Like, it's fine. It's a fine uniform, but I really felt like, unlike the Dodgers with the name Dodgers, I just feel like with Angels, you could have done something with the wings and the Angels thing. You could have done the halos. I just think that you could have done more. And I was very disappointed when I saw the uniforms.
Wow, there was a team that I thought you were going to take from that category, but instead opted with the Angels. So I no longer can draft them because I only got one pick left. But we will be discussing them after this draft because I think them going undrafted in both of the negative categories might be a bad look on our part, and we'll discuss them after the draft. But for my final pick of this draft, I have to draft from the city that connects. Southside is already off the board. The Rockies are off the board. It comes down to two picks for me. The Washington Nationals, maybe with that little cherry blossom tree. I do like that, but I think I got to go with the correct choice here. The hometown team, my hometown team, the Arizona Diamondbacks with the Serpientes. You got the nice sand color to represent the desert. You got the Serpientes where the S makes a little snake. I just think it looks super clean. Maybe some people have pushed back, maybe change it up like the pants color so it's not like sand on sand. I might agree with that a little bit. Maybe do like black pants or something like that. Maybe just get a little differentiator, but I don't mind the sand on sand either. So for me, the jersey that connects the best with their team and their city is the D-back City Connect jersey. A little homerism to end the draft.
Look, I think Serpientes is great. I think that's a great font to have there. I think it looks good. And like you said, they they did what to do. Like, what else could you possibly do based on the D-backs thing? Like maybe throw a cactus on there or something.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Right. Like I'm not as familiar. So I think that they did a really good job. Again, this isn't necessarily the category, like you said, that's about what's our favorite, but just what achieved the mission of what these are called, City Connects. And I think both of us killed it with both picks, to be honest with you. I think that they're both really good. So
now there's one jersey that's at the top of my list for I would rock that. You have one pick left in that category. So I'm curious to see if you're going to draft the jersey that I have in mind.
Look, there's two. There's two of them. And I think that this is a question of what's, do I want the loud one or do I want the one that's just a little bit smoother and might work in more scenarios? Right. That's kind of where
What's your
at.
personality? What's you like?
I mean, it's tough, man. It's tough. I me, I can be a little bit of a softie, right? I don't think I've hidden that from anyone. So part of me is tempted. The Cherry Blossom Washington Nationals, and we got my boy Juan Soto modeling it. RIP to his Nationals career, which is really funny that he's rocking it there. But this is so hard. It's between this and the Miami Marlins City Connect. I just like the red. I think it looks so cool. And I think when you wear it out, it is a statement. It is loud, but not in a way that seems unearned. It is just energy is pulsating from this thing. So why not? Let's go for it. I'm going to go with the Marlins one. It's really, really, really close. Honestly, I could flip a coin and decide which one I would rock more. Don't get me wrong. Southside, I think, is the number one in this category, but I'm going to go with Marlins. It's just got a really, really cool vibe to it. And I think that's really unique. And it's just energetic. It pulsates with a lot of good vibes.
I do like the Marlins one. They weren't high on my list for this category, but I do like their jersey. I do think what they did was cool, creative execution. So to recap then, you had the Marlins here. So in the I would rock that category, I took Southside number 1 overall. You took the Marlins with the 4th pick. In the City Connects category, I took Serpientes with my last pick. You took Rockies with your 1st pick. In the boring category, I took Dodgers with my 3rd. You took Angels with your 3rd.
LA getting killed. West Coast got killed in this draft.
West Coast did not do good. And then what city is this? Padres, I took with my 2nd pick. Aim took the Giants number 2. I do want to run through some quick hitters of honorable mentions I had for some of these categories. It could jump in as well. The one I was talking about in the I would rock that category that I would take that you didn't even mention just now. I really mess with the Kansas City Royals, that nice little light blue on dark blue, tone on tone. I really think that's a really nice jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, that one.
Not bad.
In the boring category, the one that I thought you were going to take is the Boston Red Sox, because that quite literally might be the most cool.
I think it's exciting. I think it's so unique that I kind of give them points.
Oh, I actually think that might be. If we just did a category where it's like just ugliest, like the one that makes you gouge your eyes out, I might have drafted the Red Sox number 1 overall. I think it's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. Maybe I should have tried it. I don't think it's the most boring one. I think that's the Dodgers, but I think it's the most disgusting, off-putting one of all the jerseys. I just hate that yellow. I just think, and that also could have been in the what city is this? Both of the Red Sox were like number 2 in both those categories for me.
Yeah, I was thinking of them too. It was them and the Rangers were the other ones that I was thinking about for could that fit another city.
No, that's perfect, because the Rangers were going to be the next one I talked about for that category, because I get like Detroit Tigers vibe from that little.
Yes, dude. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. I didn't even think of that. I just knew that they felt like one that should go for another team, but I didn't even think of the Tigers. That's perfect.
The Rangers literally spurred this category for me, because when I see that, I think of the Detroit Tigers. Even though we didn't draft them, they were like the inspiration for that category. And then the last two that I just want to talk about real quick, as an honorable mention that I like that no one talked about, the Houston Astros. I don't mind the Space City.
Really good. It's clean, man. It's clean. Very clean. It's just solid. It got the job done. You know what I mean? It's one of those that just got the job done.
And I think one that might be a little overrated, because I think their like media pictures look so good when they're against the walls and the lights, but I don't know if in real life it's as good. I'm going with Cincy. The red and black, really clean, but I think it looks cleaner because you got it all the lights. When you look at like the Twitter media wall photos from like the June Lee argument, I think it looks very clean. But then when you just watch in real life, you're like, oh, it just black font on black font or black font on black jersey. It's really nothing that special. Little red drop shadow. There's really nothing too special.
Oh my gosh.
That jersey.
The West Coast and June Lee just catching strays on this pod. Just getting killed today. Apologies, homies.
Are you looking for a co-host? I mean, maybe I'm looking for a co-host. Maybe bring on Julie. Maybe he becomes our third member of this weekly crossover that we got going on here. Who knows? Maybe once a month, a little June Lee cycles in with us. That'll be kind of fun. So that was our draft for the best and worst City Connect jerseys. Hopefully the people agree. Hopefully they don't get too mad. I'm surprised some of these jerseys didn't get taken, but hey, that's what happens. We get two creative people working their minds, going back and forth. They're not always going to see eye to eye, which is the great thing when we do this draft. But that's going to wrap it up for the Locked On Diamondbacks, Locked On Padres crossover. Do you have any final thoughts on home run derby, steroid use in the derby, City Connect jerseys, anything?
I think you are so out of control with the allow steroids derby. I think it's like beautiful madness.
That too clickbaity of a title. Should home run derby be doing steroids? I don't know. I don't know if that'll make that one the title.
I mean, it's a good idea. Like it really is. Look, everyone, go follow me on Twitter at Javipeno, JAVIIPENO, at LO_Padres. Just crossed 1,000 subs on YouTube, so go check that out. Just keep calm, carry on, and yeah, I once again won the draft. What can I say?
I don't know about that. Follow me on Twitter at CreatorThomas24 for my personal account. Look up Locked On Diamondbacks on both Twitter, Instagram for the podcast handle, or on YouTube as well as Padres as well. So go hit both of our channels with subscribe. Javier Reyes do another draft, talking first half NL West thoughts, home run derby, steroid use. Let's get Mike Trout pumped up with a little HGH and then hit some bombs. And then, of course, best and worst City Connect jerseys, all on today's crossover. Javier Reyes, we'll see you next time, sir. Doses.